Amandla, Amandla, long live Sadtu, long live. Long live Sadtu, long live. Long live the African National Congress, long live. Long live SACP, long live. Amandla. Comrade Chairperson of the session, let me recognize the Provincial Chair, Comrade Upumulani, and Comrade Provincial Secretary, Comrade Unomarashia Isfubasam. Let me also take this opportunity to recognize my Vice President, Comrade Ufaseha, and our former Vice President, Comrade Veronica Hofmeister, who is the Director for Teacher Development in the Department of Basic Education. Let me also take this opportunity to recognize the leadership collective of the province, including all the members who are present here from all the districts in our country. Let me also take this opportunity to recognize and greet our Honorable MEC, Comrade Umshengu, and all the other departmental officials that are here. Comrade Umeri Metcalfa, who is representing Pilo, and all the other invited guests from SACE and many others who have an interest in education. We meet here today, Kulembizo, where we're meeting you, comrades, from the districts today, who are responsible for teacher development and the delivery of curriculum. We meet in times of crisis imposed by the virus. This virus has exposed the inequalities which have a direct impact on curriculum delivery. The rotational attendance by our learners means a loss of time from their side. The virus has robbed us of some of our teachers, subject advisors, education support personnel, and other frontline workers in our schools. So clearly, we meet here today, all of us, working in a crisis imposed by the pandemic. It is now a year old that we have been working under this particular environment, which demand from us that we have got to change the way we are doing things. Many other people call it a new normal, and others are still lamenting and crying to go back to the past. I stand before you today on behalf of our National Executive Committee and the members of Sadtu, who are 260,000 in the entire country. And I want to take this particular opportunity to thank the leadership of KwaZulu-Natal, who have invited us to be here today to participate in what is the most important responsibility that our organization has. So it is important that before I even talk to the topic that I was asked to be talking about, which is the 2030 vision, I must indicate that the poor schools in our country, in particular in this particular province of KwaZulu-Natal, have been disproportionately being affected by this particular pandemic. We know that the poor schools in our country is a historical issue. It's a legacy of colonialism and apartheid that ensured that indeed the majority of our people do not have quality schools that are able to respond to this particular pandemic and the crisis that it has imposed on us. Hence, we are having the rotational attendance of our learners, where some learners attend 3 days a week, and that has an impact on the teachers who have got to make sure that, having taught them for only 3 days in the previous week, have got to make sure that they follow up on what they have been able to grasp and what they can be able to be doing moving forward. So yes, it has got an impact. It has impacted on all of us. So we meet again today, clearly under this particular cloud, where there is austerity measures that have been imposed by governments of the world, and our own governments has also imposed these particular austerity measures, which means you, comrades, who are responsible for teacher development will not have the necessary facilities, the necessary financial resources to be able to support the teachers who need you most today, because they have got to change the manner in which they were teaching, the manner in which they were assisting our learners to be able to learn. You need those particular resources. So it is important that we are able to work together, united as members of this organization, and our parents and our communities, in ensuring that you have the necessary resources, the necessary support as people who are responsible for curriculum delivery, and responsible for the professional development of our teachers. So today we talk about living with the virus for a year, but we want to thank the teachers and those who really have succumbed to this. We honor them because they have been able to prevent what would have been a generational catastrophe by making sure that the schools remain open for our learners in order for them to get food that we feed them, but also to get to be educated. Of course, the time that we have in our hands is not enough, and therefore we have got to be improvising, and that is your responsibility as you meet here to say, how can you support our teachers to be able to do their best under these particular circumstances. Today's classroom is different. We have got teachers who are teaching wearing the face shield and the masks, and our learners are wearing the mask. What does that mean, basically? It means that we are teaching learners who forever, their minds are also preoccupied by their own safety. We are having the teachers that you've got to support who also are really concerned about the safety of their families and the safety of the learners and the safety of themselves. They are having this anxiety and fear, and it is a matter of feeling. And where you're dealing with the feelings, you've got to support the teachers to be able indeed to support and inspire these learners to be able to learn and live with the virus, because it is going to be with us for some time. So we need understanding that the teachers themselves have got to develop and improve their instruction. That will be very effective in an environment which is characterized by what I have termed fear and anxiety. But also there's a lot of mental issues. And mental health is one of the critical areas that you as the subject advisors or curriculum specialists have got to deal with on a daily basis, so that you are then able to have an environment where the teachers can work with the intention of really helping our country to move forward. So the sacrifices that you and the teachers and everyone else are doing in our country are being commended, and we want to recognize that. So the virus basically demands of us to have more empathy in order to respond to the feelings of our learners, to the feelings of our parents, who sometimes in 2020 have kept their children at home, and the teachers had to go out to ensure that they bring those particular learners to school because the parents were fearing that their children are going to die. So we had to support them, and you've got to work together in order to ensure that these teachers are able to progress these particular learners in a manner that they address the deficit of competencies, skills, and the knowledge that they have not been able to acquire as a result of this particular pandemic. So as I proceed with the topic that I need to deal with, so you as professional development officers were not spared of this brutality of the virus, and you had to adjust, adapt, and learn new ways of supporting and training our teachers. As we meet today as people responsible for supporting teachers to deliver the curriculum, we wish to contextualize this in Bezo. Our point of departure is our 2030 vision. Based on the collective agreement we have signed many years ago on continuous professional development, where we allocated 80 hours per annum for this important task, we had to take this concept forward in our 2030 vision in 2010. We had to develop a vehicle to ensure that we are able to drive the mission and the vision of 2030 by the establishment of Kzn Tdi Professional Institute. This institute is responsible for the training of our teachers, the training of our subject advisors, our principals, and any other member of the organization for us to be able to deliver quality public education so that we build a strong, sustainable economy and a politically stable country in our continent. So the question we asked ourselves, and I hope you also do sometimes ask yourself a lot of questions. How can we assist teachers to keep up to date with the changes in the world which impact on the subjects and the tools they use to deliver their lessons? How can the teachers empower themselves on the new curriculum resources? I'm talking about issues of technology. How do we integrate technology in the curriculum delivery, but also as a resource and as a learning support material for our learners? How do learners learn and how to respond to collective and individual learners' needs? How do teachers create a conducive environment for our learners to be able to learn? How can teachers create great learners who will lead this country in a number of fields that are very important for us to be able to build a sustainable economy? How can we create great teachers who can inspire our learners to do their best under any other circumstances, because we are still going to live with the virus? So our 2030 vision set out some principles. One of the principles is such that the teaching profession needs to be treated as a calling with requisite moral status in which every member can take part. In order to do that, we had to anchor our 2030 vision on the 5 pillars. One of the pillars of our 2030 vision is servicing our members, which is what we are doing today, to empower ourselves, capacitate ourselves in order for us to be able to go out of this place, go and support our teachers to do their best in building a sustainable economy. The second pillar, which was creating a learning nation, which is what you do on a daily basis by training and supporting our teachers to deliver the curriculum. The third pillar of our vision is to promote a developmental-oriented nation state, which we together have to strive for in entrenching a value system of education. When you read the National Development Plan, there is a need to produce quality outcomes and building patriotic cadres of teachers. So we need to create a new teacher, build a new teacher together. The third one is promoting a developmental-oriented nation state, which we together have to strive for in entrenching a value system of education. When you read the National Development Plan, there is a need to produce quality outcomes and building patriotic cadres of teachers. We need to produce great teachers who will create great learners, who will build champions in our country. We need to love our country and love our people. That's what the Freedom Charter says about our education. And therefore, this is what we need to orientate ourselves towards. There's no developmental state that can work without people being educated, being given the skills, the knowledge, and competences for them to be able to discharge their responsibilities the best they can. But there is a concern I want to raise with all of you today, Chair, and all of you. It is that we should be asking ourselves, with what we observe about the violence, in whether that is being patriotic to see how our children and how our communities are subjected to violence on a daily basis. The pictures we see in the TVs of young people engaging in violence should really send some message to us that what are we going to do the day these bloody, thirsty, violent people will be joining the teaching profession? Will they be able to build a self-critical, standing human being who will then be able to love this country and say no to violence. So clearly, building a developmental state requires more from us as teachers and as subject advisors. The fourth pillar I need to address is creating international partnership. In doing so, we recognize that the borders have been broken down. We are living in a global village, and therefore a teacher is an international resource. Therefore, it means as we're sitting here today and tomorrow as subject advisors and responsible for teacher development and curriculum delivery, we should be asking ourselves, what skills can we give to the teachers that are globally competent skills? What global knowledge do we require to ensure that we have a holistically developed and empowered and capacitated teacher who will then be able to respond to the needs of our learners in this new economy, which is more than an industrialized economy because it's more of an information age, which is technology. Many people talk about the fourth industrial revolution, basically talking more about how we can use the technology to help us to teach, to do things better, to do things faster. So we, together with yourself, we have that particular responsibility to ensure that indeed we are able to build relations internationally, share lessons globally, and build a strong global resource library for all the teachers to access lessons, for them to be able to access knowledge and build their research skills. Because as we are facing the pandemic and many others that may be coming, it means we need to have these particular global competences. So it is time for us to be able to reflect on the fourth industrial revolution. It is time for us to reflect on what is suitable for our teaching today. The fifth pillar is a pillar that basically is talking about your organization, Sadtu. How can we build a capable organization? How can we make sure that it has got the capacity to be able to service you? I am here on behalf of the National Executive Committee, and I have to accept and admit that you are not being well serviced as the office-based educators. We are looking for strategies and means of how we can service you better. But thanks to KwaZulu-Natal Province for having brought you here today, all of you, so that you can be serviced and be empowered, so that you go out there and build this particular cadre of a teacher that we are looking for. It's very, very important that we then understand this particular vision. That this vision is based on our Freedom Charter, is based on us understanding the National Democratic Revolution. That it is important to go out there and teach ourselves that when I join teaching, I join a profession of caring. So when we say in our I School Fan campaign, when we say denounce violence, we do that because teachers themselves are role models, and you as subject advisors were teachers before, and therefore you need to go back and support them to do what they're trained to do, so that they're then able to build a country that will not use violence as a way of resolving our problems. Because education is very critical and very important. It's very essential for any development of any nation. So as we experience losses of jobs, we experience health issues in our country, we in education together, if we come together as one, we will then be able to give our learners the necessary skills, knowledge and attitude that will enable them to be able to address the issues that our country is facing. Quality public education is important to build a stable nation. Quality public education is important to build a sustainable and an inclusive economy. So we need the skills. But the pandemic has changed the environment. It has changed the classroom. So as we meet here today, let's reflect on those things but based and contextualize our reflection on our vision, because our vision was based on the fact that indeed we are living in a changing world, and the teachers are a force that can change the world by using education. So teachers and yourself as teachers as a motive force, you are the drivers of this particular vision of ours. We've got to be prepared to compromise where we have to in order to help our children. And that's what the teachers are doing every day. They are sacrificing their weekend, they are sacrificing their holidays, and we need to commend them and really appreciate that. So, as I close, Chairperson and the leadership of our province, thank you very much for inviting us to share with you the vision that we have adopted, which is a 20-year vision up to 2030. So it is not different from what the country has copied from us and developed the NDP, which is also a 20-year, 2030 vision. The world has also copied from us. They have what they call 2030 vision on education, which is what we call sustainable development. And one of the most important sustainable development goal is goal number 4, which is what today you'll be dealing with in terms of professionalization. It's what you'll be dealing with in terms of curriculum delivery. But let's be aware that it's not going to be easy when we are working in an environment characterized with fear, characterized by anxiety, characterized with those particular feelings of whether am I doing the right thing or not the right thing. So we need that support. I want to thank you and wish you a successful Imbizo. We are always available to give you the support. Please go and recruit more of the subject advisors, deputy chief education specialists. Make sure they belong to this organization so that we can build a cadre of a teacher who will care about our children, care about our country, and care about our people. Amandla, long live Sadtu, long live. Thank you.